He has a doctorate of clinical psychology, founder of the Frederick Douglass Marcus Garvey Academy. Let's welcome Dr. Umar.
Dr. Umar Johnson.
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 I keep telling you, consciousness over coochie, politics over punani. Black women are beautiful. Let me refocus. Why do you need white man paperwork? I gotta check the coons. I gotta do a coon analysis and a coon screening. All A's and B's. You know what A stand for? African. You know what B stand for? Black. We don't get C's. That stands for Caucasian. And D stand for devils.
We are the inheritors. We have an inheritance, brothers and sisters. We are the children of the Ma'afa. I am the descendants of those who came on slave ships. I am the offspring of Douglass and Tubman and Ida B. Wells and Fannie Lou and Mega and Fred Hampton. I inherited their struggle, brothers and sisters. And I have a responsibility, and so do you, to keep the torch lit. Keep the fire of African liberation burning. We have a responsibility to finish the work of Dr. King, finish the work of El Hajj Malik El Shabazz, finish the work of Kwame Nkrumah and Patrice Lumumba and Sekou Touré and Dedan Kamathi and Menelik II and His Majesty Emperor Haile Selassie and Winnie and Nelson and Chris Hani and Steve Biko and Robert Sobukwe and Peter Tosh and all the great African activists. I am honored to be an African. The word African is older than the word indigenous. Africa was not named by its conqueror because no man ever conquered the whole continent. Alexander the Great conquered Kemet. Caesar conquered Kemet. The word Africa was around and is older before Leo Africanos. It is from the ancient Kemetic language, Af-Ra-Ka. Af-Ra-Ka. Ra is God, Ka is spirit, Af is from. When we say we are African, an original Kemetic word, we are saying we are from the Spirit of God. African means I am from the Spirit of God. The greatness of Garvey, the greatness of the most honorable Marcus Garvey is Garvey organized us not with self-hate, not with fake religion, not with false scruples, but he organized us with African consciousness. Garvey organized us with African consciousness.
So what happens when you die? What happens when you're no longer able to spoil that little boy or girl? And you raise them on a steady diet of Air Jordans. You raise them on a steady diet of Louis Vuitton. You raise them on a steady diet of Balenciaga. But you didn't raise them with any discipline to earn those things legally. So you automatically sow the seeds of the criminal mind. By doing what? Teaching your children to worship materialism, but giving them no academic discipline in order to get there legally. Brothers and sisters, the learning disability is an opinion. It is a lazy disability. And if you live in Lansing, Michigan, where the schools are some of the worst in the state of Michigan, you are absolutely out of your mind signing your child up for special education. Why would you sign your son up for special ed in a school that the governor has already identified as being underperforming? Why would you sign your daughter up for a math disability if she goes to a school that the state of Michigan said is undereducating black children? Why would you give a special education to a child whose education is already special enough? Number 3, ADHD is a scam. ADHD is a shame. ADHD is nothing but a hustle created by the publicly traded Wall Street drug companies. I want you to hear me. Adderall is crack. Ritalin is crack. Metadate is crack. Cyclerp is crack. You don't have to take my word. Go read the American Medical Association's journal that says the childhood psychiatrics that we give to black boys so they can sit still in the classroom act upon the mind the same way as crack cocaine. Let's go to the Drug Enforcement Agency. The DEA classifies Ritalin as a Schedule B drug. It's in the same category as opium. And this is what y'all giving y'all sons so they can sit still long enough to be miseducated by these white racist females who don't give a damn whether they graduate or not. Do you know Michigan only has 6% black teachers? The state of Michigan only has 6% black teachers and 92% white teachers. And you blaming your son for why he can't learn? Do you know these white women teaching your sons and daughters are the parents, are the children of the grandparents who protested school desegregation in Lansing 75 years ago? So the woman teaching your child don't even believe your child is as good as her own. And this is who we send our kids to, and then when Raheem can't learn, we blame Raheem. One of the interesting things about public education, it is the only system where you blame the customer for not getting a good product. If you go to the store right now and get a loaf of bread, if that bread is molded, you take it back. If you go and get some gas from the gas station and your car is putting out wrong exhaust, you say this gas is too cheap, I want my money back. You go get your hair done and it don't come out right, you say you gotta fix my hair or give me my money back, but you send your child to school. And when they don't learn, you don't blame the school, you blame the child. Look at how the system works. And these white women have the longest summers off. They have more vacation days than any other professional in America. And speaking as a former school principal, soon to be again with FDMG Academy, you can't even fire these white teachers when they can't teach. If I got a white teacher in my school who can't teach, you know what I gotta do? I gotta put her on a professional development program. I gotta help her learn how to be a better educator. But you know what the problem with that is? You can't teach love for children. You can't teach commitment for children. You can't teach compassion for children. You can't teach interest for children. So this whole thing of taking racist white teachers and putting them through professional development so they do a better job teaching black children is a scam. They don't love them today, and they won't love them tomorrow. And black America has made a big mistake of letting white America get away with filling our children's classroom with white women from the suburbs. Isn't it interesting? White women are more likely, white school teachers are more likely to be married to white police than almost any other profession. White school teachers are more likely to be married to white police than any other professional in America. Isn't it interesting how Joe Biden will use the white woman to miseducate your son? And when she's done miseducating your son, he will use her white husband to lock him up when she's done. And so you got a white teacher, $50,000 a year, white police, $50,000 a year. That's a $100,000 household in the suburbs of Lansing, and they both making a living off of your son's degradation. And then you Negroes can't wake up and jump and go vote. Y'all voted for Obama. What the hell you get out of that? You voted for Bill Clinton. What the hell you get out of that? You voted for Joe Biden. What the hell you get out of that? The first thing Joe Biden done when he got elected was pass a transgender bill. And the second thing he done after he got elected was pass an anti-Asian hate bill. Now don't get me wrong. What happened to those Asian women in Atlanta was wrong. I can say that. As an African, we are humanitarians. We do not have to be callous to the struggles of other people. But help me understand how after one Asian massacre, they get a whole bill. After one Asian massacre, they get a whole bill. Black people been getting massacred for 400 years, and we still ain't got a George Floyd Police Reform Act. And you ain't gonna get one! Because the Democratic Party knows that Negroes have been brainwashed into thinking that somehow, some way, they are your friends. The only difference between the Democrat and the Republican is their strategy. Their outlook on Negroes is identically the same. Republicans can't stand you, Democrats can't stand you. But the Democrat will play a psychological game on you and make you think that if you hang in there long enough, there'll be some blessings at the end of the road. The Republican is brutally honest with the Negro. He lets you know up front, I'm not going to do nothing for you today, and I'm not going to do nothing for you tomorrow. And as long as we keep on letting the black vote get used as a political football, because here's the mistake we keep on making. We should not even be involved in the Democratic and Republican tug of war. You know what you should be doing in Lansing? You should have the Black Lansing Political Union. All the black votes in Lansing married together. And guess what? When the mayoral candidates announce their intention to run, and when your state legislators announce their intention to run, and when your city council announce their intention to run, you bring them right in to the black community, right in this jail. And you say, Mr. Republican, what are you going to do for these black votes in Lansing? Mr. Democrat, what are you going to do for these black votes in Lansing? And when we give you this vote, understand, if you do not produce, we automatically unelect you the next election cycle. That's how you should be doing business. But black people, due to slavery, are still comfortable being the afterthought of the white man's agenda. You are comfortable being a pimple on the Democratic Party's ass. You are comfortable being a pimple on the Republican Party's ass. You are comfortable being the afterthought of other people. Why Mexicans don't behave like that? Why Arabs don't behave like that? Why Anglo-Saxons don't behave like that? Why European Jews don't behave like that? Why East Indians don't behave like that? You know why they don't behave like that? Because there's a big difference between people who are free and people who are freed. Don't confuse F-R-E-E with F-R-E-E-D. We have been freed, which means the instinct of the slave is still alive in the subconscious of the black man and woman's mind. You think for yourself, but your conditioning is that of a plantation Negro. And most of us still think, act, and feel like a plantation Negro. And I can also guarantee you that the city of Lansing is ran like a plantation. You know how I know that? You cannot control black people unless you control the black bourgeoisie in that city. So I know for a fact, with all these black men I see going to jail in Lansing, I know for a fact, with all these black children underachieving in Lansing schools. I just read an article today that your black homelessness rate in Lansing, Michigan is at a local all-time high. That could not happen. I look at the unemployment rate for black men in Lansing, it's around 40%. You know why? Because the white power structure uses the black bourgeoisie of Lansing to keep you in your place. Now, who is the black bourgeoisie of Lansing? There's 5 families in the black bourgeoisie. Number 1, your black scholars. Negroes who work at the community college, they work for the school system, they work at Michigan State University. These are Negro intellectuals who always intellectualize your problems in such a way that white people always get a pass and you're always to blame for everything going wrong in your neighborhood. The black intelligentsia who intellectualize white responsibility away for the problems they create in the black community. Number 2, your elected officials, the political bourgeoisie. I'm gonna tell you right now, and I've told the Negroes in Philadelphia, I've told them in Pennsylvania, I've told the Congressional Black Caucus, I don't vote for Negroes who are not independent candidates. True. If you are a Republican Party slave, you don't get my vote. If you are a Democratic Party slave, you don't get my vote. If you are a Libertarian Party slave, you don't get my vote. If you are a Green Party slave, you don't get my vote. Dr. Umar Ifatunde only votes for black people who are independent candidates. Why is that, Dr. Umar? You know why? If you're not an independent candidate, you don't have an independent agenda. If you're not an independent candidate, you don't have an independent mind. If you're not an independent candidate, you ain't got no independent money. If you're not an independent candidate, you're going to do whatever the hell the white people tell you in your political party. 400 years later, why the hell we still putting black people in office to carry out white people's agendas? You're either independent or you're nothing in my book. Somebody's running for office in Lansing, I got 5 questions for them. I don't care if they're running for your mayor. I don't care if they're running for your city council. I don't care if they're running to represent you in the state senate or the state legislature. Question number 1, What are you going to do to put more black teachers in these schools? How in the hell is Lansing 25% black, but you only got about 6% black teachers? Why don't the percentage of teachers in Lansing school match the percentage of black people in Lansing streets? What are you going to do to give us more black male teachers in Lansing? You got Michigan State right up the road. Why haven't you created a program that will fast track black undergraduate males and females into getting their education license and certificate so you can hurry up and get them back in these schools and get these racist white women out the classroom? What is your city council doing about that? What is your state legislature doing about that? Number two, what are you doing about the mass incarceration of black people in Lansing? What are you doing? Because I just read an article the other day that said black people in Lansing are arrested 5.1 times as much as white folks for the same offenses. You know what that means? They ignore white crime and they focusing on black crime. What is your mayor doing about that? Mr. Andy Score, is it? Score? What's his name? Yeah, Andy the Slave Master. And y'all love Slave Master Andy. You Negroes can't wait for him to throw you another barbecue, another picnic, another July 4th celebration. See, white people have figured out all you got to do to keep Negroes happy is throw a damn party with some damn chicken! They give white people institutions. They give white people grants. They give white people opportunities. They give white people business loans, and they gonna give you a new basketball court and some damn short ribs. Because you a sucker. We weak. White folks don't respect black people no more. Respect you for what? We miseducate your kids, you keep on walking like it ain't no problem at all. You put your money in our banks and we use that money to finance your own gentrification. I heard y'all got gentrification in Lansing now. White folks starting to push black people out. And guess whose money they using to push you out? The black church in Lansing. Let's talk about the black church. That's another family of the black bourgeoisie. Pastor Pork Chop. Deacon Watermelon. Reverend Lemonade. These damn Negroes who keep telling you how good the Lord is, how good Jesus is, how good Allah is. I don't care what religion it is, they all suckers because none of them use that religious power in order to translate into some political accountability. How the hell are you talking about you love God so much? You so in love with Christ, but you comfortable with black Lansing living in hell. Help me understand that contradiction. That I want you to come to my church so I can preach Jesus to you all day long on Sunday, but I know you walking right back into a crime zone. I know your children going right back into schools where they're not being taught. I know half the black men in Lansing can't even find a damn job, but I want you to keep on coming and praying to Jesus. Any religion that tells you you got to die in order to get to heaven is a religion you don't need. If the white man got his heaven now, if the Chinese man got his heaven now, if the Jew got his heaven now, I want my heaven now or I'm going to die fighting for it. Don't you let no religion turn off your political consciousness. God is on the inside. And you don't need nobody to help guide you to God. You can guide yourself to God because the God in you is just as powerful as the one inside your pastor if he even has God in him anymore. Let's get back to this education system. Black mothers, I want you to listen to me well. Black mothers, I want you to listen to me well. Single black mothers, listen to me well because you are making some mistakes inside of these Lansing public schools. Mistake number one, black woman. Stop telling your child's teacher your personal family business. Your child's teacher is not your life coach. Your child's teacher is not your best friend. Your child's teacher is not your confidant. Because let me tell you what Mrs. Slurbanowski and Mrs. Pellegrino, let me tell you what they do. They let you tell all your business. They keep it all documented. And then when they tell you Raheem needs special ed, they tell you Shaquita needs 5 grams of Ritalin. They tell you your grandson needs a little bit of Metadate, and you say, I was at the Dr. UMAR lecture. My son ain't going to special ed. You know what they're going to do? They're going to go down to the principal's office, Principal Goldenberg, and they're going to tell that devil that Miss Shaquita came to my office smelling like weed and alcohol. They're going to tell the principal that her son comes to school with a dirty school uniform on. His socks are dirty. His clothes don't get washed. He be wrinkled all the time. And the next thing you know, they calling Child Protective Services on you. And they're telling the caseworker everything you told them. Father just died. Other baby daddy in jail. She was homeless for 6 months. She been on crack for 2 years. She living in her mama's basement. Everything you told that white woman in confidence is now going to be made public to force you to do what the power structure wants you to do. Stop telling your damn business to these teachers, and principally of which, never let them know that you are a single mother. The worst thing you can do is let the school know you are a single mother. Once they know you are a single mother, your son is more likely to be suspended. You're more likely to be called up to come pick him up. Once they know you are a single mother, he's more likely to be referred for special ed. Once they know you're a single mother, he's more likely to be referred for an ADHD evaluation, or a conduct disorder evaluation, or an oppositional defiant disorder evaluation, because you like telling your business to white people who don't like you. Shut up. Keep your mouth shut. When you go in there, stay focused. Because when you walk into the school, you're walking into an extension of the prison system. And just like with the police, anything you say can and will be used against you. See, in 21st century Lansing, the public school is the new prison. And the teacher is the new correction officer, and the principal is the new warden. And the only difference between public school and prison in Lansing is one got beds and the other don't, but they still eat the same lunch. Number two, black mother. And all these rules apply to the fathers as well. But the reason I'm saying mother is over 65% of black children in the United States are being raised exclusively by their mom. So I'm not picking on you black women. It's just because of the war on black men, psychologically and economically, has left you to bear the brunt of raising the children on your own. Rule number two, don't sign any paperwork you don't understand. Now this sounds simple, don't it? But I see black mothers showing up in school all day, signing anything white folks tell you to sign. Oh, just sign this. Just sign. No, you don't. You tell them, I'm going to take this home. I'm going to read it over. And if I decide to sign it, you'll get it before the week is over. And then Ms. Slurmanowski is going to say, we need this now because we have a deadline. And then you're going to say, I don't have a deadline. I'm a parent. Like I said, you'll get it when I'm ready to give it to you. Stop letting these white folks make you think you got to do whatever the hell they want you to do. It don't work like that. You have to agree in order for them to move forward. It's no difference than when I get mothers who call me up and they say, Dr. Umar, they put my son in special ed. They put my son in special ed. They didn't do a damn thing. You did it. See, in order for me to special educate your black child, whether they live in Detroit, whether they live in Lansing, whether they in Flint, whether they in Muskegon, whether they in Kalamazoo, where I'll be tomorrow, in order to special educate any black child, any white child in America, you have to sign your name 4 times. 4 times. You have to sign permission for evaluation. That's for me, the school psychologist, to evaluate your child. Then you got to sign that you agree with my evaluation. Then you got to sign the IEP. There go 3 signatures right there. Permission to evaluate, completed evaluation. IEP. And what's the 4th signature you need for special ed? You have to sign the Special Education Service Agreement. If you don't sign the Special Education Service Agreement, your son, your daughter don't go to special ed. So stop telling me they put him in special ed and start saying we put him in special ed. And you know what's so sad about this whole special education thing? Most of your children, all they need is a little extra practice. They don't need no IEP. All they need is a little extra practice. But you know what the problem is? The teacher don't care. And many of you black parents couldn't care less. Which is why I always say there's nothing worse than for a black child to have a teacher who don't care and a black parent who couldn't care less. See, if you got a teacher who care and a parent who don't, you still gonna make it. If you got a parent who care and a teacher who don't, you still gonna make it. If you got a parent who care and a teacher who care, you will make it. But if you don't have a teacher who care and a parent who don't care, you can't make it. Which is why I don't even call the dropout rate a dropout rate. You know what I call it, brothers and sisters? I call it a push out rate. Our children are pushed out by the way they are treated in school and out of school inside your home. And you know what else is crazy? Most of our children are failing to achieve at their maximum potential because they got family problems that you all don't want to address. I can't tell you how many little girls I knew who could have been on the honor roll every marking period. But she was being sexually molested by her older brother, and mama knew it, but she chose not to deal with it. So she goes to school not doing her work because she's constantly daydreaming and reliving the trauma of child sexual abuse. And you know what you do? Because you're in denial, you'll come to school and sign your baby up for special ed. What the hell special ed got to do with molestation? Or what about your son's father got locked up? He got to do 5 years in prison. You know damn well your son and his father was tight like this. Your son don't need no special ed. He's going to school fighting and running out of class and acting out because he misses his father. This is not a learning problem. This is an attachment disruption from a primary caregiver. What he needs is therapy. He don't need no damn special ed. But because a lot of you are in denial about problems going on inside of your damn home, you would rather put your kid in special ed than face the reality of your family dysfunction. And that's why I refer to ADHD as what ADHD really is. The white man calls it attention deficit hyperactivity disorder. The white man calls it attention deficit hyperactivity disorder. Dr. UMAR calls it what it really is, ain't no daddy at home disorder. 85% of black boys in Michigan in special ed don't have a father figure in their life. Now, some of you Negroes in here are going to say, my son got ADHD, and I'm just like, shame on your ass. Because if you're an active black father, ain't no way in hell your son can have an ADHD diagnosis. Which is why I call it, in your case, ain't no discipline at home disorder. You want another one? Artificial diet at home disorder. Mommy and daddy might be there, but they don't eat nothing but sugar, caffeine, high fructose corn syrup, and artificial food. Artificial diet. How the hell he gonna sit still and learn about Christopher Columbus? How the hell he gonna sit still and learn about Helen Keller? How the hell he gonna sit still and learn about Anne Frank when he got 100 grams of sugar, 500 grams of caffeine, and another 48 grams of high fructose corn syrup rushing through his blood? Are you out of your damn mind? Ain't no such thing as ADHD, they made it up. When did we get ADD? 1980. Is that a coincidence? No. What else did we get in the black community in 1980? Crack from the CIA. They dropped off Ritalin and they dropped off crack at the same time. They started doping up the fathers and doping up the boys the same year. The drug companies invented ADHD to make money off of single-parented black boys whose fathers was no longer around to teach their sons discipline. And while we're on the topic of discipline, I want every black parent in here to understand Dr. Umar's definition of discipline. I want you to hear me well. Because everything your son becomes, everything your son doesn't become, everything your daughter becomes, everything your daughter doesn't become is based on the amount of discipline you are raising those children with in your house. And what is my definition of discipline? The ability to do what you don't want to do when it has to be done, whether you like it or not. How many of you can say that your 9-year-old and your 11-year-old and your 13-year-old has the ability to delay gratification long enough to take care of their responsibilities? How many of your children got the discipline to turn off the NBA playoffs and study for tomorrow's tests? How many of your children got the discipline to stop playing basketball and come in the house and work on their math skill? Discipline is divine. There is no skill you can get from God more than discipline, because God is discipline. The sun rises every day on a mathematical equation. The moon comes up every night on a mathematical equation. You get 364 and a quarter days every year. You get 4 seasons every year. God has never failed to be consistent in his behavior. So if you claim to believe in God so damn much, where is the discipline in your house? Because I'm going to tell you this, You can scream Jesus all day, but if there's no discipline in your house, that's not a house of God, that's a house of the devil.
Shame.
Yeah. Listen, when I take your child out the classroom and bring them into my office, I'm going to give them an IQ test, I'm going to give them a reading test, I'm going to give them a math test, I'm going to give them a visual motor assessment, I'm going to give them an adaptive behavior assessment, I'm going to give them an emotional screener, I'm going to give them a psychological measure. I'm going to give your son about 7 to 8 different tests. Here's my question. Which one of those tests tells me he has a reading disability? Which one of those tests tells me he has a math disability? Which one of those tests tells me he has autism? Which one of those tests tells me he's emotionally disturbed? I want y'all to hear me. None of the tests we use as psychologists. None of the tests we use as psychologists. Not a single one of the tests that any psychologist uses anywhere in America diagnoses anything. The tests only give us scores. So where do we get the diagnosis from? We get it from ourselves. We make it up.
Came with change, I'm amazed, take the high road. Made the play bet on my game, I'm a splash code. Can't complain, I make it rain, heavy cash load. See my veins, I get the gains, you a slimy troll.